All right. So good evening for us, or for some of us like me. Good afternoon and good morning for some others. Welcome everyone to our Earthen Architectural Heritage Seminar dedicated this time to technology. As you know, ISCEAH is one of ICOMOS 31 scientific committees, and every committee is making different activities to promote the work and the studies that each group is making. This is the second of our of 5 appointments that we decided to organize, aiming mainly to 2 goals. The first one is to present and disseminate the work of the ICOMOS International Scientific Committee for Earthen Architectural Heritage through its 5 working groups. ISCEAH is divided in groups working on seismic technology, archaeology, in-use heritage, and landscapes. Each of these groups is coordinated by an expert member. At present, the coordinators are Natalia Jorquera for seismic, Ion Stigler for in-use heritage, Bakonirina Rakotomamonjy for technology, Masud Nakai for archaeology, and Jorge Tomasi for landscapes. The second goal of this meeting is to help young generations to approach the older ones and let them enrich also the committee with new ideas and fresh energy. And this is also the reason why each seminar is managed together by the chair coordinator and one ICOMOS emerging professional, a young professional active on the same topic. In the previous meeting, we had Elena De Santis participating together with Natalia Jorquera for the seismic, the seminar dedicated to seismic. And today, Julieta Barada will be joining Bakonirina Rakotomamonjy for technology, and later on, the same will be done by Elison Cavicchio for archaeology, Tininan Bashir Sharif for the in-use heritage, and Alisa Berry for landscapes. I don't take much time or more time. I thank all coordinators and emerging professionals who organized these 5 meetings, and I hope all attendees will enjoy the event. Thank you all.
Thank you, Maddalena. Well, Maddalena Kenzo is our president, and well, thank you very much for being with us and for supporting this activity also. So we will start now with the webinar itself. I present Bakonirina Rakotomamonjy, that it's an architect specialized in Earthen Architecture. She is chairperson of the International Center of Earthen Architecture, CRAterre. She is a researcher in Heritage and Development Department at the Research Unit, Architecture, Environment and Construction Cultures at the National School of Architecture in Grenoble, France. She has been a consultant for international recognized organizations such as UNESCO, ICOMOS, ICCROM, AIMF, EPA, AWHF, NORAD, Fondation, Abbé, Pierre, and CRAterre. In 2013, she has been awarded by the King of the Order of Cultural Merit of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you, Bako, for being with us. The first for you.
Thank you for organizing this seminar. I think this webinar, I think is very good. I'm going to share my screen and start the webinar. Let me know if everything is fine. Do you see my screen, and do you hear me well?
We do.
Thank you. Thank you for all of us to be here. The idea of this 1 hour together is to discuss the thematic on technology. To first few minutes with me talking about the work plan that we have and how we intend to go ahead with this work plan. Then we will have Julieta Barada, who will be able to discuss the way she sees this thematic in her country. We hope that at 7:30 we will be able to have an open discussion to listen you about what do you think about this topic? What does that mean, technology for you? Is it high tech? Is it right tech? Is it low tech? Anything, because maybe when we had this topic, when this topic was created years ago, it has a meaning that today for you and for us could have changed and could be more broad. And we want to listen to you on that. We will finish maybe to discuss what are the next steps, and maybe having someone of you who would like to share also his experience on this topic technology. We hope that we will be able to finish at 8 o'clock in French time. Okay. So what is, I will present you briefly what is the work plan that we had for 3 years. So it's ending this year. The idea is that, you know, Earthen Architecture is really wonderful and diverse, and it's really, it ranges from mosques, palace, granaries, historic center, cultural landscape. It's really very rich. But one main problem is that often is not seen as so rich, and it's banalized. Often we just say, Earthen Architecture is just a round hut with thatched roof. It's not about that. It's something unique, very rich, and we really have to characterize this uniqueness so that we are better able to value it and to protect it. There are many techniques, ways of building with earthen construction. This wheel of construction prepared by CRAterre is just one side of the richness of the Earthen Architecture. And we are just talking with this wheel about techniques. But we are not talking about social aspect, cultural aspect. There are many things that is linked, could be linked to this heritage. So knowing this heritage is very important. So the what we say is, why can't we have a database on earthen heritage? We have got people in our group, ICOMOS, ISCEAH, coming from all over the world. We are many. We could map this earthen heritage and show how it is universal, diverse, and specific, always different. I wanted to illustrate that with drawing from Christina Zoika-Dimitru, who just show African natural architecture. They are mainly huts. But look how rich they are. We have to demonstrate this richness to the other people. Us, from ICOMOS, ISCEAH, sure, but also to the public. And it will be also interesting to maybe to see that it's not only about old architecture. It's also about something that could be really useful for the future. And so the potential of reusing this knowledge in the actual world, where we really need good example of sustainable architecture. So what we did, we had in CRAterre previously created something called CRAterre. It's the participatory atlas of earthen architecture. It was done in 2014. And we were able to map building, earthen building, heritage and contemporary, also events and people working on earthen architecture. Now we are in 2023, and the technology, the informatic technology has improved. And it's more, there is more tools. And this CRAterre actually, it's difficult, it's quite complex to use, So maybe we can have a new version of CRAterre using an OpenStreetMap that will be only for ICOMOS ISCEAH on Earthen Architecture. So using this tool, OpenStreetMap, meaning it's free, it's on the map, it's a free license, and the data can be exported into a GIS format that can then be used by researchers. And anyone could contribute to this mapping of Earthen Architecture. So we have started creating the ICOMOS ISCEAH Earthen site and mapping buildings in yellow, events, and people. For example, we could create for building a long list of things to fill, location, techniques, construction dates, state of conservation, but also we can add other aspects that are of interest for us to be known, like how the site is relevant, how we maybe something special that is really helpful for the construction technique nowadays, not only as an heritage. We can, this is an example I've tried. We have just created this site last week. I've just tried, so I've inserted Kutamaku. We can put a picture, we can put a description. We can also map a very nice event that ICOMOS ISCEAH is organizing, Conference 24 in Africa. And let's go to the site. So this is the web, this is internet. And let's see, if I go to Conference Africa, I can even put a link, the link to the, let me just, I put the link to what you do very well, the Facebook link, so that we can have information on what is done all over the world by members of ICOMOS ISCEAH. Then we can also, let me just get out of this page now because, okay. Sorry. Let me just share again my PowerPoint. And we can obviously map also people. I've mapped myself, but it's not very interesting. It's better to have people from all over. It's me here. But it will be good to have your CV, the short one, knowing where you are. It's really, it could be interesting, this proposal. So we said if each member could identify him or herself, putting a dot in this map, if each member could add 5 sites, maybe very soon we can have a very nice map done in a participatory way. So the next step is to organize a workshop like this webinar, but with many other people that would like to fill the map, and we do it together, and then we have a result in 1 hour, and we are happy with this demonstration of the variety of Earthen Architecture. That's it. It's a plan, but we need people to do that. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have some question. Sorry, I was too long. Sorry, Julieta.
Thank you very much, Bako. And maybe we will let the question for the end of the session. So we will give just the floor to Julieta. So let me introduce Julieta Barada. She's an architect with a master's degree in social anthropology. And she's she had a PhD in geography from the University of Buenos Aires. Currently, Julieta is an assistant researcher at the National Scientific and Technical Research Council. She's working at the Laboratory of Architecture and Earthen Construction at the Institute Rodolfo Koch. Her work focuses on the study of earthen construction techniques in the highland of Jujai, or you spell it Hochai, I don't know, and their dynamic over time, with a special interest in working with the local communities and studying their relation with the state, particularly in issues related to housing. During the last year, Julieta have been involved in different restoration projects of emblematic Earthen architecture in the area within participative approach. She's a part of Red Prototierra Argentina, Red Ibero-Americana Prototierra, Latin Americana chapter in the APTIA, and an advisor for the National Commission of Monuments, Places and Historical Assets of Argentina. So the floor is yours, Julieta, and I hope that I make a good translation for the Spanish words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stinian. It's also difficult for me to speak in English, so I will make my best effort. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you all and thank everyone present here. We have been thinking for a long time these webinars in the emerging professional groups, and especially with Amanda and with Tinihan. So I am happy that we finally are in this project, and thank you both for the organization. I titled this short presentation, Technology Beyond Objectivity, Some Reflections or Questions from Experiences in Northwestern Argentina. In fact, what I am going to present, as we have been talking with Bako and thinking about, well, what is this about technology? Which is our concern, which are our theoretical dilemmas that we can think, we can debate from this theme. So this presentation, it's about my work, but the real intention is not to raise close ideas or give answers, but to generate different questions for this meeting and for the later debate. So to start, I would like to read or to present like an initial question, which refers to the title of this presentation and seeks to challenge us as experts in the field of architectural conservation and specifically Earthen architecture, in order to reflect on our contemporary professional practices. And so the question is, how do we think about technology for and in the conservation of architecture? And this question is based on a kind of precept on which we will return later, which is that technologies are, in any case, social facts. This question and this proposal for the debate emerged from my work together with Jorge Tomasi and the team of the Laboratorio de Arquitecturas Andinas y Construcción con Tierra, where I belong to in Argentina, with over more than 10 years of work with vernacular architecture and the conservation of historical buildings in northwestern Argentina, specifically in the province of Jujuy, which is in the extreme north of our country. I will not develop specific cases too much, but for this presentation, I choose two cases in which we have been involved in articulation with the work, with the direction of heritage from the Jujuy province, which is in charge of a colleague called Valentina Millón. So this work, these processes were carried out in 2 national historical monuments. The first one, the one which is above in the screen, is called Casa del Marqués, House of the Marquis. It's a colonial house, a colonial hacienda, in a small town called Javi, in the extreme north of our country. And the one which in the bottom of the screen is a church, also a colonial church from the colonial period, which is located in also a small town called ISCCROM, which is also part of a region called Quebrada de Humahuaca, which is listed in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Was listed like 20 years ago. Both cases have different pathologies and structural problems, and that's why we were convened to develop, in dialogue with the province, restoration projects. When we started the process of survey of these buildings, respectively, we found, more precisely, we discovered the existence of different reinforced concrete structures in the buildings. The analysis we carry out in each case allow us to think that these incorporations were added between 1950 and 1970s in previous interventions. These additions were not only not visible, but also not easily accessible, and they weren't, there were not documentation to find through we could understand that these incorporations were in the buildings. So we found them when we start our work, our restoration work. In the one case, in the first one, the one in the left of the screen, the Casa del Marqués, this incorporation was a collar beam, an upper collar beam working as a chain. And in the second case, in the chart, as we can see in the pictures and in the scheme, it's an integral structure from made with beams and columns that did not, however, take up the full thickness of the wall. This means that this incorporation was added from the exterior side of the wall, taking only about a third part of the whole thickness of the adobe wall, which is around 1 meter. In addition to these structural interventions, other changes have been observed with also the incorporation of industrialized materials. In both cases, the mud plaster was integrally replaced with cement plaster, both in the interior and in the exterior of the buildings. The roofs were also modified and both interventions and transformations have caused serious problems of leaks and dampness in both cases. The case of the chart in relation to the roof is relevant because the mud roof that was original from the building was seriously transformed, adding, as we can see in the middle picture, a cement layer above the mud cover, and also above the cement layer, finishing with a liquid membrane, supposedly to improve the waterproofing of the roof and its durability through time. Okay, of course that these interventions are wrong from our contemporary perspectives, no doubt. But to be honest, at that historical moment, on the first half of the 20th century, these practices were supported even by our doctrinal documents. Indeed, this is what the Athens Charter stated for technology for conservation, directly and emphatically recommending the use of reinforced concrete for historical monuments. This idea becomes even more complex when we confront the field of Earthen architectures and understand the existence and sustainability of other technologies and technological strategies. Because in any case, and also in Athens, technological choices are social, but only some of them are institutionalized. So technology is not an objective field, but a political one. This was true for the experts at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's also true for us now. And here we have then the first question to open this debate. How can we reflect with the communities on these introductions and design new ones, which, beyond their success and their technical compatibility, must be acceptable, apprehensible, and sustainable in local terms, so that, in the end, they are not new foreign transformations. And for this, one key or one thing that I want to point out is how can the meticulous survey and the observation of the reinforcements that emerge from the vernacular architectures themselves, in these and in other cases, can help in that sense. Within the framework of different earthen building cultures, various solutions have been developed for the consolidation and reinforcement of an historical architecture, including various timber elements and the use of buttresses, as we can see in these pictures. These are different reinforcements that we could find in the area in other historical houses that allow us to think in the framework of a specific constructive culture, the existence of a concern for structural reinforcement, taking into account the existing senses in the constructive culture itself. Regarding to our particular work, we took different decisions in the context of participative workshops with the communities that included the collective survey and diagnosis and reflection on these previous interventions. In the first case, which is the one I am showing in the screen now, we decided to remove the reinforced concrete beam and replace it with a wooden one. And also placing different wooden reinforcement keys that we can see in the second picture at a critical point as the arches, the arcs, and then generate a seismic reinforcement with a mesh of ropes following the Peruvian norm recommendations. These weren't easy decisions since the use of concrete for structural reinforcement that we observe has had an impact not only in the Casa of the Marquis house or in historical monuments, but also on the local building culture. So it was a process, a collective process of rethinking collectively the very meanings of reinforcement and the characteristics of the materials. The second case, the case of the church, the magnitude of the structure involved specific engineering studies carried out by our team's engineer, which concluded that the removal of the structure could cause further damage. So it was not possible to remove the reinforced concrete structure as it was a non-reversible intervention. So it had to be joined to the adobe wall. Finally, and this may be a controversial decision, but we end up, in a way, restoring the previous incorporation. In this conservation action, the intervention included also the restoration of the continuity of the adobe walls through the manufacture of new blocks with the same dimensions and granulometry from the original ones, the recovery of the continuity of the wooden structural elements, which in this case is interesting because the chart already had an upper collar beam made of wood as the same that we incorporate in the previous case. It had some problems of continuity in the elements, so we work there, as we can see in the third picture. And then, well, we also used wooden keys in some critical points that showed different cracks, and we made a seismic reinforcement also using a mesh of ropes. Second question then, which implies thinking that is not only a matter of thinking about more appropriate reinforcements or more compatible materials, but also bring certain local logics of maintenance according to the criteria of time, relations, actions, and knowledge that also make up technology. So a methodological reflection on technology is necessary, and in this point, it's interesting to observe other restoration actions that involve the relearning of traditional techniques. For example, what happens through recovering a mud roof. As you may know, in different constructive cultures in the Andes, the roofing and re-roofing of a building, due to its massive nature as an action, has implied the collective work of the community in instances that reinforce the bonds between people and buildings and between people themselves. In this case, the chart of ISCEAH and its historical monument, this action implies another type of relationship, and at the same time, the incorporation of technical improvements, so as the addition of lime in the top layer of the mud, in an attempt to extend the maintenance periods of the type of roof. Recognizing on the one hand the new dynamics of the constructive culture itself and of the communities, but without breaking with the sense of the techniques and its temporality. Beyond the large-scale action, another set of processes arises from the observation of detail. Just an example among others, this is in Casa del Marqués, through the recovering of the Simba, which is a straw gradient that is used in the eaves to improve their performance in the rain, preventing damage to mud plaster out of the walls. This action required the study of the existing remnants of the Simba, where there were only a few pieces, with a collective essay to relearn this making. This involved the interaction between different generations of craftsmen in order not only to remember this Simba making, but also reacting the practices. Again, this allows us to think not only about large operations, but also about the role of detail for thinking in integral technical senses. So finally, another set of questions arises. Can we define technology for the conservation of Earthen architecture outside its context of production? How can we think from professional and institutional spheres, non-hegemonic senses of technology, non-institutionalized senses of technology? And to go back to the beginning, rethinking our role and our own practices from institutional context, the question is technology for whom, or rather from who? Participatory approaches as a possible and necessary pathway which at least allow us to ask ourselves about more plural and socially situated ways of thinking about technology in the conservation of Earthen architecture, taking up their political senses even from the institutional spheres. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Julieta. And as you said, as a very good conclusion, technology at the last for home, and especially from home. Thank you very much. And we invite our audience for the questions and for the discussion section. So we are here to take your questions. So please don't hesitate. And I don't know, Amanda, do you want to add something?
Maybe for the question, we wanted to chair together with Magdalena also the call of the Africa 24. So I will share it a little bit, and it's also in the same sense of the technology for whom and for who. So we only want to put this on also this topic now, that we are part of the organization of this conference, this international conference in Africa 24, that wants to rise the African heritage, earthen heritage, vernacular heritage. So Magdalena, maybe you want to.
Yes, I don't know, you see me?
Yes.
Because I don't see this myself in the screen anymore. Well, I just wanted to announce that we just published the call for abstract for this conference that we decided to organize together with some other ICOMOS scientific committees, such as CIAF, the Scientific Committee on Vernacular Architecture, ICTS, which is the Committee on Cultural Tourism, and the Committee on Cultural Landscape, the one on Intangible Cultural Heritage, and the one on Energy and Sustainability. And some working groups, such as the Group for Our Common Dignity and Rights-Based Approaches, and, as we said already, the Emerging Professional Working Group. What are we doing? We are doing a meeting. We are organizing an event with the goal to sensitize people from sub-Saharan Africa to join ICOMOS, to know the work that we are doing, and eventually to join our scientific committees. The call for abstract has been published in the past week, so there's time until the end of November. So I invite all participants to this meeting today to take a look at the call and eventually join us also for this event.
Great, thank you. So now a little bit of debate. I will, I don't know if someone wants to talk, even if they can open their mics and just comment. The idea of this last half of the meeting is to discuss among us, right? It's very interesting, the perspective Julieta also put in her presentation and the work they are developing over there. Because yeah, heritage is not an untouchable thing. At the other side, it's something it's continually moving, changing, and our perspectives, community perspectives also change. So how do we also move forward with that? So it's very interesting. It's also in the same idea that Baku was putting, no? So
if you don't want, Amanda, yes, Baku, go ahead.
Actually, when I see the presentation done by Julieta, and I see the list of things we had to fill on the inventory of a building, I was saying we really miss a lot of information. All these links to the community, all these links to the craftsman, which are really crucial for the continuation of Earthen Architecture for tomorrow and the preservation of the heritage. So maybe either you take the floor and comment, either we can share a Jamboard, in a board where each one of you can put a word in the language he is comfortable with. It's fine. I think we are going to understand each other, so that we can have a record on what you think is important concerning technology. As you want. I can just share the link already. So up and then open the Jamboard. Okay, the Jamboard is there. I can open also the Jamboard and share it with you. You can just take word and say so you can still continue talking, but you also can
I think you can, it is set to only see, not to edit. I cannot.
let me. Oh, sorry, you just want to edit. So let me
Yeah,
edit.
that's okay, perfect.
Okay, so sorry for frustrating you.
So now you have to refresh. Okay, and you do it with a post-it. Okay.
Well, let's take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just adding ideas.
Magda is raising her hand. Magda Minguzzi.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, no, thank you. More than a question is a comment, and I would like to, well, I'm Magda Minguzzi. I'm working at the Nelson Mandela University School of Architecture in Southern Africa. And my colleague Lucy Foster should be there as well. We are doing research with the first indigenous people of Southern Africa. And I would like to congratulate for the interesting presentation and also for the series of lectures organized. When I saw the program, I was, very much excited because it's really something that we need. And are topics that are very important to be discussed because, like also many buildings and heritage buildings in Africa are actually realized with a sort of material like earth architecture. And and we feel, certainly in Southern Africa, there is no so much, knowledge and also way of, or maybe let's say develop technology, sensitive technology to restore and preserve those buildings. So it's good that really this sort of this knowledge sharing that you are organizing are very important for not only professional people, but also for students. So thank you for that.
Thank you for your comment, Magda. I think it's I saw the work you presented a couple this year, I think, in Valencia, right? About the work you're doing in South Africa, and I think the presentation of Julieta is also very in that line. you know, that respecting the technology, the local technologies, and even the local view of people regarding their technology. So not external people judging the technology they have, and that's something that it's difficult to manage, because sometimes we go with a preconceptual thing, a preconceptual idea of the technology, what is best, how should we maintain this, and we don't take into account the local view of this object, right? And it's not only an object, but a part of a system. So it's much wider than only a building, right? And that sometimes escapes from our view.
Thank you, Amanda. If you don't mind, I have a question. I don't know, because I didn't catch up the presentation of Bako from the beginning. I don't know if she mentioned this. So I want to ask about the CRAterre. Isn't it open for all the public, or you should register and then you Bako as an administrator, you have to approve this. Then we as a public we can add this monument and we can add things to the map.
We have to choose. Either there is a moderator, which means a lot of work. Either each one takes his own responsibility and creates its own account. And so if it's Tian filling, it's Tian who is recognized as the contributor, and it's our knowledge that is shown. But there will, in this case, there will be no moderator. I think as we are among professionals, we should go on this in this way, yeah. And maybe open it to our team ICOMOS ISCEAH only for now, and then after, when it's ready, when we are happy with the result, share it with external just to see and not edit.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Bako.
You're welcome.
So any other questions from the audience?
Or also comments, like ideas. Yeah. We've seen in the chat that there's many people connected from different parts of the world. So this approach to earthen technologies and earthen heritage is also very interesting. Like we have people from New York, from Senegal, from Argentina, from Spain, from Egypt, South Africa, France, Mali, Italy, Portugal, Algeria, so Turkey. Myself, I'm from Chile. So we have a very different parts of the world, and that's something very interesting also to share the perspective we have, points that get together and points that get apart. No? So they are asking for the link for CRAterre. Bako.
Great.
So
we have many new participants in CRAterre since this webinar. It's great.
Okay, let me explain you. The old CRAterre is very difficult to access, meaning it's not accessible for now. This is why last week, with the team of CRAterre, we have created a new one just for us. And so that we can do whatever we want as ICOMOS ISCEAH in it. And so I would prefer maybe, because next week we have got a board meeting of ISCEAH to validate the process and then organize a workshop, and we feel all together.
Great.
So yes, we will share it, but maybe not today.
Okay, and then we may share it first, as you said. First, we will try to fill it in a little bit, and then share it to everyone to be filled wider. Okay, great. But Patricia, you had your answer, so.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Bako, I didn't saw your presentation from the beginning, and I didn't get it. So we have to, if we want to put some sites on this platform, we have to contact you, and so you can edit.
For the moment, we will do it as ICOMOS ISCEAH, so the committee. You may join the committee, for example, or
It's an interesting idea.
well, and then afterward we will share it with everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, because maybe it was also not very clear for everyone. Right, so we have many answers on the Jamboard, right?
Yes.
Should we comment that? We comment a little bit.
Actually, I think it's very good to have a Jamboard because we have got a broad perspective. Some on one side, let's say the right side, more technical aspect, but also the same board, very social aspect, and related to community, social awareness, social representation, but also related to future sustainability of the technology, related, meaning regenerating practice, available material, replicability, and this is obviously linked to the climate we have today and tomorrow. So yeah, it seems to me, but maybe Julieta, you would like to comment also on what you see.
Yes, I think I like the way you order this. I think that the really big challenge that we have working with Earthen Heritage is that it was historically, it was easier to see social aspects of technology or other things of life of people in exotic communities. No, it's like the original aid of many disciplines like anthropology or even architecture. No, to see the social aspects of exotic architectures that through we can understand other societies. I think that the challenge is to see the social aspects and the political aspects that are in our conceptions of technology. That they are not objective when we come into the field, and the second challenge is to make that senses to dialogue in a horizontal way, no, without difference or hegemonic ways of thinking, to try to develop processes of conservation of architectures that are more plural. So I think that in this different papers, I don't know how to say, notes like notepads, we have many keys to another, not webinar, but a workshop, no, to define technology, not to find one only definition of technology or what is technology for Earthen architecture, but to make questions, guidelines, new ideas that can help us when we confront to a new restoration project. I think that this network works for that. No, should work for that. Should work to be not such much alone when we come to the field. No, and to know that we are sharing perspectives and ideas and ways to do in heritage conservation of Earthen architecture in general from ISCEAH. So I think it is very rich to think, to keep thinking. This is not a conclusion.
Yeah, I agree that it's not a conclusion, but it's a point of start. Maybe yeah, because maybe many people are sharing this when we have to approach an earthen heritage problem, because not always is restoration. Sometimes you have to do some intervention, you have to change things, maybe you don't have to do anything, and that's also something that is important to say, because sometimes you approach something that it might be seen from the outside as a problem, but maybe it is not. So how do you the approach of the problem, the approach of the projects, also it's very interesting to share, and maybe we are approaching problems in different parts, but in very similar ways. So it's also very interesting to have this space where we can share in little time our ideas now. Patricia is asking. Yeah, Patricia, go ahead.
Just to add some more ideas to what you were saying regarding Julieta presentation. I think this approaching problem for a community, for a restoration work, I think it's more or less the same in all over the world. I see it in Portugal, as I saw it for so many years in Chile. Because we can study some techniques, some technology for heritage conservation, but how can we reintroduce it in this community or in the professional sector? Because life has already changed, society has changed. So we cannot expect that people act the same way that they used to, because all of this, the society was organized in a different way. They had, I don't know, in the rural, in the countryside, people lived along the, how do you say, the cultural weather stations. Like you construct in the spring and in the summer. In the winter, you could not do some kind of constructions, of parts of the constructions. So you lived along with your work in the agriculture, for example, and it was all a system, you know. And the conservation or the maintenance of these constructions had also a time for it. And you know that in November you could, I don't know, do your olive oil. In September you do your wine, and I don't know, in March, for example, in Portugal, you would begin to construct your pisé, your rammed earth house, and you had your time for doing all this and also the maintenance. So you waited 1 year. You expect 1 year for this rammed earth house to be like established. Then after 1 year, you could render it, and so on. I just want to say that our life nowadays, it's not like this. So we don't respect all these times, and we have a lot of pressure from the building sector to do, no matter when, all of these tasks. And I don't know, technology and reintroduction or making this reinterpretation of the technology has to do a lot, I think, with new materials, but also with new lifestyles. I don't know what you think about it.
I think it's very complicated because to understand how it was before, how do we want to front the future, how do people live now? So yeah, it's complicated, and many times we approach this problem of non-continuity of practices. For example, how do we do it? Should we? Who are we to say we should reintroduce the technique? Like it's complicated. Like, but it's very interesting also to discuss it. Maybe we are not supposed to have to make the decisions ourselves, but within the community that lives in these houses, within a brighter spectrum, right?
This is also something that links to a comment of Yasser Ali that I read in the chat. He's asking, what about the difference between conservation strategies on earthen architectural heritage and modern earthen buildings regarding modern technology? If I understand well, he's opening another big subject related to the insertion of modern technologies in the heritage, in the conservation, or developing old techniques for new construction. I mean, it's two topics that we are much assessing in this moment. It's actually the topic that we are assessing this in this moment, because the problem of everyone is to deal in conservation with interventions that have been done in the last decades with materials and techniques that are not always compatible with the heritage. But at the same time, we have also a very interesting development of traditional techniques into new production operations for new construction. It just comes in my mind the experience that's happening now in Paris with the CRAterre, that of course is something that has been generated by the new demand of circularity and of reuse of waste material. I don't know if everybody knows what's happening there, but in Paris, they're reusing the soil excavated for the construction of new pieces of subway, of the metro, and they're using this soil to produce earthen elements. So compressed blocks and but also mortars for plasters and mortars, and also panels like an earthen version of the gypsum. How do you call it? Slab. So it's. I mean, when we talk about technology, relating it to earth construction, we have to include many different words, many different really big words, and each of these words has to relate again to local communities, to local practices, to local materials also, because earth is not always the same, and it's not an easy topic. And it's good that we have the CRAterre Bako, because this will allow us to at least to get an idea of the diversity of the building cultures that were developed in the world with this material. I think it's a very good instrument to start making an order in the knowledge that we acquired up to now. I don't know, Yasser Ali, if I made a good interpretation of the question or the comment.
Yeah, that is something very interesting also. Like, it's another subject a little bit, maybe, yeah, what we do inside ISCEAH is more linked to Earthen Architecture. So, but also we have to admit that many new technologies that use earth are also based in knowledge and in of the heritage that we can see in heritage and in vernacular architecture, right? So strategies from different cultures and so on. Yasser is.
Yeah, excuse me. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Present.
Hello.
I am Ali, Director of Restoration for Islamic and Coptic Antiquities at the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. And also I have over 10 years of experience in conservation and restoration earthen architectural heritage. I think we can all agree that there are more and more difference between the conservation strategies on earthen architectural heritage and the modern building of earthen materials. In this sense, the conservation and restoration of earthen architectural heritage must be compatible with the international charters for restoration and conservation, must be in accordance with Venice charters and ICOMOS recommendations. So using traditional materials such as bitumen, Portland cement, lime oils, I think it's unacceptable for restoration and conservation of archaeological sites of earthen architecture. We seek to improvement the physical, mechanical, and chemical properties of earthen architectural, earthen materials, and we managed in preparing a homogeneous, fresh mixture of mud, not affected by water in any way, without any change in shape, colors, clay minerals, physical and chemical properties. So the fabric is everything. We don't need to change the fabric, the original fabric of earthen material. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to add something that often happens to us, that when we make the difference between earthen heritage and what we often said, like modern earthen buildings, the difference that we are establishing is not between the old and the new, but between the disciplinary work and the one which is vernacular. We often call modern technologies in earthen architecture to the work from architects that design earthen buildings. We have contemporary architecture in earth, built in earth from vernacular spaces for craftsmen, for constructors, and we often don't call that architecture as modern architecture. So I think that when we think in technology as a dilemma in earthen architecture, we have to also define what we call modern for earthen technologies. I don't know if it could be clear because of my English.
Yeah, I think it was clear. Thank you. Well, thank you, Julieta. Thank you, Bako. Madalena Tijinare for this evening. I think it's a great opportunity to exchange. I hope other people could also exchange their experience, but I think maybe next meetings, hopefully in person also, we could share these ideas. Next meeting, as we were saying, would be in Nigeria, right? So maybe we could meet over there and discuss these topics further on. We will only to close, Chair, again, the dates of the next meetings. That will be next Wednesday. We will have the Archaeology and Earthen Sites webinar with Masoud and Alison. So we hope to see you there, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank all participants for being with us.
Thank you, Bako.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.